Hi, I'm George Norrie, and welcome to our Coast to Coast AM YouTube channel. Have fun, tell your friends, and share us with everyone. You can also find us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Coast to Coast AM's mobile app. And always remember to log on to our website at coasttocoastam.com for daily articles, the best paranormal information, and all you need to know about your favorite guests. And now you can become a Coast Insider directly through the Coast mobile app. We welcome our international listeners and even offer a free 2-week trial. So don't delay. Become an insider today. And welcome back to Coast. Vernon Mahubble is the founder and director of the Palmistry Institute here in Los Angeles. In 1979, he began formal training in Vedic cosmology, resulting in numerous trips to India. Vernon combines Western astrological palmistry with Chinese elemental hand analysis and continues to explore new research. Vernon, welcome.
Thank you, George.
Now, what's the difference between Western astrological palmistry and Chinese elemental hand analysis?
Well, there is no real difference if people are getting the same predictions, but Western palmistry is about 2,000 years old. Chinese astrology is a few thousand years old. So the Chinese used elements more than they did planets, such as earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, like that. And the Westerners started to adopt the system from the Vedic view, which uses planets and signs and houses. So it's a much more, the Western system is much more deep when it comes to psychology, understanding a person's emotions and feelings, and certainly career. Chinese elemental astrology and palmistry has a lot to do with more of a societal looking at. It has to do with more of looking at society rather than individuals.
Vernon, palms don't change; events do. So how do you do this?
Well, one's destiny, George, is on the hands. And if a person is born to become, let's say, an architect, you can see that on their hand when they're a child. The things that those things don't change. In other words, the talents that we bring into the world, our abilities, our general life purpose does not change. What does change are the little things, such as how we do things, and the friends that we have, and these things can change. Sometimes, if a person doesn't do their life purpose, if a person doesn't do what they're born to do, then the lines will also say that, and they'll change accordingly. But we have a destiny, and every hand has a life purpose. And if we do our life purpose, we will be happy.
How does a person's palms determine events that occur outside of the individual? By that I mean, will a person's palm predict world events, even though he or she may have nothing to do with the event?
Yes, George. If you look at hands regularly, if you're looking at, let's say, 3 or 4 hands a day, and you're doing that for month after month after month, you can see trends. You can see how the economy is going to go. You can see social situations. You can see political situations. So, yes, the lines have everything to do with the individual. But if you look at enough pair of hands, you can see what's going on societally.
It's amazing. How'd you get involved in this,
George, when I was in 11th grade, I saw a book on palmistry in my school library. And I started reading it, and I started analyzing my friends' hands. And they all thought I was a bit crazy. But I kind of just, went into it here and there. And that when I left high school, I actually found a teacher. And he just I stayed with him for 5 or 6 years, and I just watched him read hands for 5, 6 years on the street, and he taught me everything. Taught me a lot.
Next hour, when we take palm readings from our callers, how do you do this over the radio?
Well, they just have to hold their hand up, and I kind of am able to just visualize their hand. I don't know how I do it, but I'm able to do it. And also, if they give me their birth date, just the day they were born, that will help immensely.
Like 4 or 3 or something like that?
Exactly, yeah, if someone's born on the 8th or something.
You don't need the month or year?
No, not at all.
Okay. All right.
But if someone just is kind of meditating on their hand and looking at it, I will be able to pick up intuitions about it.
Are you seeing any anomalies or changes in people's structure?
You mean the basic psychologies or emotions in our society right now?
Just about anything. Are you seeing any kind of anomaly?
I'm seeing a lot of stress. I'm seeing a lot of unnervingness. It's definitely getting to people, unfortunately.
They just came out with a study that more people are depressed than ever before. I guess you're sensing that.
I'm sensing that people are stressed about where we're heading as a society, as a country. That type of thing. I don't see in my clientele a lot of depression, so to speak, but I do see people are worried.
This planet seems to be topsy-turvy right now, Vernon. I mean, if you were to look at people's hands in the Ukraine, what would you be looking at?
Well, you would definitely be seeing the effects of a war. There's no question about it. So if you're looking at hands, let's say, in the United States versus hands in the Ukraine, you would see quite a difference. But obviously, the hands of people in the Ukraine will mirror the outer effects of what's going on in their life, definitely.
Indeed. Now, what about France, where they're having riots over the killing of that 17-year-old youth?
Well, interestingly enough, George, I remember, and I have several clients who deal with just the business in France, and I was tracking this maybe 2 or 3 years ago. I was seeing some stuff when, let's say, Le Pen was running. I was looking at some stuff, and this was marked in some of my clients' hands that France would go through this.
How far in advance do you see events before they occur?
I start noticing them about 2 or 3 years before they actually are happening. And the reason is because if you start to see these kind of events closer to when they happen, then you're noting them. So I would say 2 or 3 years, yeah, especially a situation like France, which is really affecting France right now. So I remember when Le Pen ran against Macron at that time, I definitely saw the unrest that we're seeing now.
Interesting. Well, let's talk about some predictions for the United States. This our 247th birthday. What do you see?
Okay, this is interesting. I actually see our economy starting to get a little bit better in November. And
really?
Yeah, it's strange, George, but I'm actually seeing our economy getting a little bit better by November. I think we're going to have a good Christmas season. I think the retailers are going to be okay with it. Next year, I think we're going to also see a little bit of an upswing in the economy. It's not going to be as unstable now or jittery, but after September, October of next year, I'm not. It could get a little dicey after that, but. I'm optimistic for the economy. Oddly enough, I've been tracking this for, of course, the last year and a half, 2 years, very strongly. But whatever the Biden administration is doing or not doing, we have a strong country, George.
We do.
We have a a strong country, and we have industrious people, and we're going to move through this. Are we going to become a superpower again with great manufacturing like that? I don't think so, but I don't really see our economy just crashing so much. The areas that I do see will be dicey, George, will be real estate. That's going to be that'll be a bit jittery.
Both commercial and the residential.
Yes, absolutely. And I am worried. I am worried about crime.
It seems to be out of control. I mean, just over the independence couple days, we've had mass shootings in all kinds of cities. It's crazy.
I've never seen it like this before. We haven't seen it like this
There's
before.
so much hate out there. It just makes no sense.
George, I think in 3 years, now it sounds like a long time, and it is in some respects, but in 3 years, Saturn will go into Pisces in the fifth house, and we're going to see that people are going to be quite sick of it on both sides of the aisle. So it's going to get to. I am worried about crime for sure on so many different levels, but at the same time, what I see in people's hands is that I think in about 2.5, 3 years, people are going to say enough. We're done. We have to do something about this. It's unfortunate that it has to get to that point, but that's going to continue. We're seeing the mirroring of the same thing in France. But those two areas worry me: the real estate market, and it's going to be quite a difficult situation, and the crime in America.
We're with Vernon Mahol. His website is palmistryinstitute.com, linked up at coasttocoastam.com. If you were to look at the hand of Donald Trump, what would it tell you?
Do you want me to make some predictions here?
Yes.
I don't think he's going to win. I'll tell you what I see for the next election.
What about his court issues?
No, I don't. I think it'll be thrown out in the same way that they tried to impeach him for 3.5 years. I don't think it'll amount to much.
All those charges you think they're going to dump?
They're not going to dump them. They're just going to go the way of the dinosaur. It's just going to be too much, and there's going to be a little bit of a public outcry against it too. You'll see that. That's what I see in his hand. But I don't see him making the presidency though.
Does he get the nomination?
Yes, he does. Yes.
Wow, that's dramatic.
Yes, he does get the. Yes, he does. Also, our RFK Jr. is going to be a very, very, very well-liked figure. Even though they're trying to censor him, even elements of the left will be very angry about that.
He's got 20% right now against Biden, but you think that's going to increase, huh?
George, his star is going to shine. He is going to be, in my opinion, the front runner for the Democrats, and they're going to realize that, according to his hand, I've been looking at it on the internet a lot lately. They're going to realize they can't just X him out.
He sent me a text before he jumped in, and I may or may not put him on the show, but he's been on the program before talking about some other issues. But you think his star is going to rise, huh?
Yeah, I think he is going to be someone who will really make a splash in the Democratic Party. He's going to bring the JFK type liberalism back to the liberal party, and I think he's going to wake up a lot of liberals in that respect. In other words, the liberalism, the classic liberalism. He's going to wake those people up.
Do you think he's going to get the nomination over President Biden?
Yes.
You kind of hesitated there.
Well, here's the weirdest thing. What I see is that, and this is what I'm seeing in Biden's hand, and I'll just tell you what I see. Biden will step aside. They're obvious. He's not going to be able to handle it. Obviously, Kamala's not going to become. They're not going to put her as the vice president. They're going to grandfather Gavin Newsom in
As
the president.
Gavin Newsom from California?
Yep. That's what it looks like from Gavin's hand.
So you think he's going to get the nomination?
I absolutely do. In fact,
then what happens to RFK Jr.?
Well, here's the thing, George. This is the strangest thing. I don't really think there'll be even an election as we get closer to it. I think that there might be some funny business, and I think they're going to put Gavin Newsom as the president. They're going to install him.
I mean, they're going to just appoint him?
I think so. It's not going to be an election, George. I don't see 2024 as an. I don't see an election.
Gosh, I hope you're wrong. That's not good for the country.
Too. I hope I'm wrong too.
What is your accuracy percentage?
Well, I picked Trump the last time.
Before anybody did?
Well, I mean, there were so many astrologers and psychics and numerologists who got on Coast and picked Hillary. And I saw clearly. I mean, I saw in 2000 and what was it? I remember looking at Trump.
2016.
I remember looking at Trump's hand when he got on Oprah Winfrey's show, and she said, "Why don't you run for president?" That was a long time ago. But since that time, I'm a New Yorker, so Donald Trump's always been, a part of the scene in New York. So I looked at his hand, and I was telling people years before that he was going to run for president.
Now, what is it, Vernon, about the hand that determines the outcome of different things?
Well, you look at the position of Jupiter, you look at the position of the sun. These are very strong planets. They have a lot to do with being in the large public arena. If you know what you're doing, it's quite easy to tell, especially on the hand. You're going to see some really, really strong, let's say, stars or tridents and very, very strong configurations on the hand that are unmistakable, where someone becomes like a CEO. Actually, Donald Trump has almost like he does have the karma, if you will, of a CEO. So when he took over the United States as a president, he operated as a CEO rather than a politician. But if you know what you're doing, it's quite easy to see if someone's going to actually become president.
Let me ask you about Vladimir Putin. Have we looked at his hand?
What I see in his hand is that, I'm not a Putin apologist. Don't get me, you don't have to.
We won't put you in that category.
I'm not pro Putin, but he is. You can tell by his hand, he's loved by his people. He's
loved by them or feared by them.
Could be both, George. Could be both. But the thing is that you can tell from his hand and from many Russians' hands that they do like him because their standard of living, their standard of economy has never been greater. So credit goes to him in that respect. But at the same time, the Ukraine thing, I do believe, looking at, interestingly, I do have a few clients who do business or have done business in the Ukraine and Latvia and Russia. So I've been tracking that, and I do feel that at a certain point, the Russians will attack the Ukraine, and the Ukraine will be a satellite of the Russian area, and
well, what do you mean they'll attack? They've already attacked.
Well, in other words, it won't be a war anymore. They will completely overtake the Ukraine at a certain point, and I'm thinking in about 5 or 6 months. It looks to me, and the UN and the United States won't do anything about it.
What about China and Taiwan? What do you see there?
I don't have too many clients from Taiwan or China, so I can't really make a prediction.
Vernon, give me a breakdown of the palm, the lifelines, the lines on the hand, the digits on the fingers. What are all these things?
Absolutely. I want to start off by saying that these configurations, the lines, the stars, the tridents, the shapes of the hands and fingers, they are created by the soul. And our soul, according to the Vedic palmistry or astrology, or sometimes called sidereal astrology, is situated in the innermost core of our heart. It's our eternal self, and the hand represents all the let's say the knowledge and awareness that the soul is emanating into the hand, and it actually goes through the arms from the heart into the arms into the hand. So our hand, our palm, is a GPS unit of our soul. So it's the soul that's actually generating the shape of the hand and the lines and so much on the hands. So in brief, first of all, I do want to mention that so many people come to me, especially during a party or a social event, and say, "Oh, my God, Vern, my lifeline breaks. Does that mean I'm going to die early?" I hear that so many times.
Yeah.
And I want to caution people, I want to let people know that the lifeline has absolutely nothing to do with the length of life. It has nothing to do with health. It has everything to do with relationships.
Really?
Yes.
And is the lifeline the line that cuts right across the middle of your hand?
It starts at the top where the thumb demarcates at the side of the hand, and it forms a semicircle around the ball of the thumb. And so it curves around. It's the curving line. It forms the perimeter of the ball of the thumb.
Do identical twins have the same fingerprints?
No, because their souls are different.
Then they're not identical twins, right?
So even though they're born from the same mom and they kind of look the same sometimes, they're individuals. Their souls are different. Their karma is different, and so they're going to have completely different
fingerprints,
astrological sequences.
Why are the fingers broken down in 3 digits?
Oh, great question. There are 12 segments on our fingers. They represent the signs: Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, like that. So those are the 12 signs. And the planets are on the palm. And the signs are in the fingerprints.
And the thumb only has 2 digits.
The thumb is an interesting unit, George, because the thumb is not ruled by a planet or an astrological sequence. It is ruled by our mind and our intelligence. It is that mechanism that gives us free will. The human thumb, that's why it's often said that animals don't have a thumb, and they don't really have a working thumb in the same way that we do, and an opposing thumb, because they're ruled by instinct. But our thumb is the indicator of our free will. So even though the planets and the signs in the houses dictate, in a sense, if you will, our karma, our talents, our abilities, still the thumb opposes them in a sense. So what that means is that we ultimately, even though the planets have so many attributes, good and bad, challenges, good stuff, bad stuff, the thumb is that ability to overcome struggles or difficulties, or so that our thumb is the free will, and that's why only a human being has one. So it's not ruled by any planet or any sign. It's ruled by our own willpower. And I think Napoleon Hill once said, what the mind can conceive, one can achieve. Well, that represents our thumb.
Vernon, with nearly 8 billion people on the planet, are you telling me that everybody has a different thumbprint? There are no matches, identical matches?
George, even the left hand is different than the right hand on everybody, and that's because we are an individual soul. The New Agers, the mind, body, spirit people, have it right in that we are one. And that ultimately means that we're created by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We're one in substance. But what they don't understand, and what they will understand in the future, is that we're different. In the Vedic view, there's a Sanskrit verse that says, Nityo Nityanam. This is a Sanskrit verse. Nityo Nityanam Chaitanas Chaitananam. It means that the soul, we're one with each other in spiritual substance, but we're different from each other. Chaitanas Chaitananam, we're different from each other in individuality. So it's through our individuality that we can express love. We can't express love through oneness. We can only express love through our individuality. So our hands reflect our differences, and it's through our differences that we make the world an amazing place.
You have talked about 14 to 24-year-olds, and you're seeing something there. How did you distinguish that?
George, I am seeing something on their hands that really wows me. It's a very different generation. I'm for lack of a better phrase, I'm calling it the second greatest generation. I don't have a name for it, but on the hands that I see from, let's say, roughly 14 to 24 year olds, they are, George. They're going to be a very moral generation. And I'm not just saying that in a religious way, but, that could be there, too. I do see them as a God-conscious, directed generation. They're going to be very much into right and wrong. They're going to be very goal-oriented. That's a big deal. They're going to be very ambitious people. I don't just mean ambitious in the same ways that we've seen before, but they will not be slackers. They will not be victims. They will be very pride themselves on being upstanding citizens. They will not want chaos in society. They'll want to see justice. It's a very interesting generation, and George, and I'm very, very intrigued by what I'm seeing. And I'm also very happy by what I'm seeing. It's going to be a very upstanding generation.
Vernon, if something horrible was going to happen to a huge batch of the population, would you see that on all of them?
Absolutely. George, I'm from New York originally, and when I first went out to California, all my friends were telling me, California's going to fall into the sea. And so for a bunch of years, I was reading, so many hands of people from California, and if they were to fall into the sea, I would have been able to see it. So I didn't. So, yes, if you're going to see a catastrophe or something like that, you would see it on the hands that you're reading for. So, in the same way, when I'm looking at hands of Americans, I'm looking at the economy. I'm seeing a lot of the same things that are affecting people in societal ways. So we're all going through this stress of what's going on in our society and our culture. And it doesn't matter what side of the aisle we're on. So, this is reflected in hands.
If you see something bad, do you tell them or do you hold back?
George, I'm a big believer in it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So let's just say somebody has a big drug problem or something like that. You have to tell them. People call me and they don't want it sugar-coated. They call people like me because they want answers and they want straight answers. So no, I don't sugarcoat things. And if I do see, hey, your health is going to be affected by this activity, I'm going to tell people because I want people to slay their dragons. I want people to awaken the giant within. I want people to become successful. So in order to do that, I have to tell people and point out what nefarious activities they're doing so that they don't go through some difficult spot. Yes, it's important.
Tell us more, Vernon, about the tie-in with the soul.
Well, we are in Sanskrit. There's a verse that says that we're Satchit Ananda. Satchit Ananda means that the soul is eternal, that the soul is joyful and blissful, and that we have awareness we have intuitive awareness. The soul is a very powerful entity, and we're all different. The soul is not just a ball of energy. We actually have a spiritual form, an eternal form, just like we have a form now. Although it's temporary, it's a material body, but spiritually we actually have a form, and that's eternal. And we forget that because we're in the material world, and we're told that we're our body, and pleasure comes from sensual gratification. But real happiness comes from devotion and love and internal awareness. So the soul expresses its message through the agency of the hand, and it's our hands that we can tell. Through our hands, we can tell, well, what kind of an individuality do we have? And the ultimate goal of the soul, George, is to serve others, to serve God, to serve others, to be selfless. That's really what makes our soul happy. The real joy of us is that, as they say, it's always nicer to give a gift than to get a gift. But the constitutional position of the soul is to be of service and to give love, to be devotional and to be humble and to be tolerant. And that's where real joy is.
When a little baby is born and then it grows up, does the handprint change or does it stay the same? It's just smaller.
The biggest problem in looking at a child's hand is getting them to keep it open for more than a second. But everything is on the palms at 7 months in the womb. The Navajo Indians have they have a legend that at 7 months in the mom's womb, God blows His breath on that child, and though that breath becomes the lines and the fingerprints. And in Vedic palmistry, it's said that at 7 months in the womb, the child is fully conscious. They're seeing their previous births, and they're able to see what they did and what they would like to work on, and that's when their guides are giving them information. So at 7 months, the soul is conscious. They may not be conscious of the body that they're in because it's still developing, but as the child comes out of the womb, and for the first, and we can see this for the first 6, 7, 8 months. The child is actually remembering its previous lives. And then after 6, 7, 8 months, they start to become more aware of, they start to forget that, and they start to go more external, and they're aware of their parents and their their house and that type of stuff. So they forget their life. When the soul comes out of when the baby is born, everything is on that hand. But it's just harder to read until they're about a year older or something like that. But yes, if a woman's going to become, let's say, an arborist or an architect or a computer designer, or a guy's going to become a football star, it's all on the palm, and you can read it when they're 1 year old.
If you were to have read the palm of Jeff Bezos from Amazon 30 years ago, would you have seen, this is all subjective, but would you have seen amazing success or something?
Absolutely. You would be able to see that he has done much pious activity in previous lives, so he's being rewarded with lots of money and fame and wealth and reputation. So all of his all this auspicious stuff that he has, it's because he probably was very helpful to people. When people are, let's say, intelligent and they do all kinds of interesting things, and they're in the public eye, and they have a charmed life, it's because in the previous life they did a lot of good activities.
It's karma, right?
It's karma. They're being rewarded. And that's called in Sanskrit akarma. And then V karma is the opposite, where people do, let's say, difficult activities, and they have to, let's say, taste the results of their activities. But in palmistry and astrology, any good palmist or astrologer will say, actually, your suffering should not be seen as a detriment. You should see your suffering as purification and learn from it. So when suffering comes, when difficulties come, you should think, what did I do to this person to get this result? I'm just going to become humble and tolerant and just learn from it. So suffering, astrologically, is not really for our detriment. It's actually for our advancement of consciousness.
A couple of years ago, you wrote a book called Talk to the Hand, A Field Guide to Practical Palmistry. Is that still available?
Yes, you can get it on Amazon or in Barnes & Nobles. And it tells the story of what it is like to be a palmist and the difference between numerology, palmistry, astrology, tarot reading, and the importance of the metaphysical understanding, so that we are on our life path. We're doing what we're born to do. And if we're doing what we're born to do, we will be successful and we will be fulfilled. And I'll tell you, George, I would say 90% of the people that I read for are not doing the work that they're born to do.
Did you start the Palmistry Institute?
I did. I'm the founder and director.
How many members are there now?
If someone takes a year-long class training with me, they get a certificate, and I've trained hundreds and hundreds of students to read hands.
But it takes about a year to get proficient?
Yeah, to learn the basics and to feel confident in reading a palm, yes. And then after 7 years, you can become an expert.
What happens to the palm if something deforms it? You know, let's say it burns and part of your palm has been burned off. Does that alter things?
You know, interestingly enough, I like to tell people in my classes that if a person, let's say you get a cut and it heals, that doesn't mean anything. But if you continually get a cut over and over again, unless it's part of a job, you know, you work at a lathe or something like that, but you're constantly, a part of your hand is constantly being affected. There's a psychological or an emotional reason for that. So yes, it is true. Even if a part of the hand becomes deformed or you lose a finger or something like that, definitely there is a karmic reason for that. There's an emotional or psychological or mental reason for that. Astrologers and palmists see health problems as starting from the mind and the emotions rather than just physical. And so many times an astrologer or a palmist will see let's say a health problem on the hands, and they won't look for a physical aspect. They'll say, hey, this is coming from something emotional or psychological or mental. And then problems become earthed, if you will. Whereas, you know, you go to a doctor and they'll just give you a pill. They don't see the metaphysical underlying reasons for this.
As we go to calls, I'll give you the birthday first, and then we'll go to the person. But why do you need that day?
Oh, it just helps me to understand the vibration, and I just need people to just hold their hand in front of, close to their eyes, and just tell me their question. I just really need their question.
If every palm is different, what if somebody and his friend have the same outcome in their life in terms of what's going to happen to them? Would their palms be similar?
Well, you know, George, we do see that sometimes in businesses. For instance, people who work in certain industries, they're doing the same job, and they have to do the same types of they have to have the same types of skills. But at the same time, they're married to a different person. They have a different way of looking at life. They drive a different car. They have different hobbies. So many times businesses or our career will bring us to, let's say, replicate the same things that everybody else is doing. But at the same time, we're individuals and we have our own needs and desires and challenges too.
Interesting. Okay, let's start with calls. Let's see how this works. We're going to go to, let me give you the date first, 15, okay?
Sounds good.
We're going to go to Colleen in Georgia, east of the Rockies. Welcome to the program. Hi, Colleen.
Hi. Happy Independence Day.
You too. And,
thank you.
do you want to hold on for a second? Do you want a question, Vernon, from them or what?
Yeah, please. I need one question.
All right, go ahead, Colleen.
One question. Okay. Financially, am I going to be able to hold down this place that I just recently gotten?
Do you own it?
No.
I want you to own it. Is it a piece of property?
No. You want me to own it?
No. You know what? You actually have really good karma for owning property or homes or something like that. You should definitely have the karma to be able to do that. So I want you to think bigger and buy real estate or maybe buy your home or something of that nature. You're a person who needs security and stability, and that will also make you happy and peaceful.
What do you think of that, Colleen?
But how is this working out? I mean, do I have to go to a lawyer or whatever? I've been thinking about that anyway.
Colleen, do what you need to do to establish security and stability for yourself. And if that entails buying something outright and making it your property, that's what you need to do.
Okay, good luck, Colleen. Hope everything works out for you. So what did you see? Did you vision
Yeah, I saw her
prom?
hand. Yeah, she actually kind of held her hand towards her face. So I saw it.
So we'll give you the date, then you want a specific question from them, and then you take it away.
Yeah.
So if Vladimir Putin was doing this for you... You like that, huh? Next up, we go to, here's the date, 30th. We're going to Sean, truck driving west of the Rockies. Hello, Sean. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, sir. It's an honor as always.
Thank you. And how about your question for Vernon, and he'll take it away.
I'm kind of curious about the inventions that I've, no other sense of the word, invented. Are they going to become reality?
I'm sorry, I forgot your name. What's your name?
Sean.
John.
Sean.
Listen.
Sean.
Oh, got it. You are full of ideas. You are an original thinker. You're inventive. You're constantly coming up with new ideas, and so much of what you like to do is self-expression. So invent something. Come up with some new idea. That's what you're here to do.
And you nailed it.
He did. He's pretty good at that, huh?
Thank you.
All right, Sean. Good luck to you.
Do it, Sean. Do it. You're going to be successful.
Do you give advice to corporations and things like that?
You know, George, when I lived in England, I lived in England for a couple of years, and they regularly consult with palmists and astrologers. What will happen is the CEO will ask an astrologer or a palmist to read for a lot of their team. And then what you'll do is you'll read for each one of them and give them a reading, and then you'll make separate notes for the CEO. And I don't think that's good. That's too. People will see that as very kosher in America, but that's what they do regularly in England, where you could be there for 2 or 3 days reading for the entire staff, the board of directors even, and then you have the separate sheet of notes for the CEO. He's going to ask you, okay, well, is this person good with finances, or can I trust this person? And people don't seem to mind. I think in the States they would have a problem with that.
If you didn't have the birthday, what would you be missing?
It helps me to center the vibration on the palm, that's all.
Interesting.
What I'm really doing is kind of visualizing the palm's lines and configurations, and the birth date helps me to place it in a vibrational sequence.
We're going to Glendale, California. The 19th is the date. Karen is with us. Welcome to the show, west of the Rockies.
So much
Hi, Karen.
for taking my call.
What's your question?
My question is, 60 years ago, I looked at my right hand, and the mound under the middle finger and the ring finger both have asterisks on them.
Can you just ask me a question? Because I don't really want to get too much into the mechanics.
Sorry, I was just, at the time, it said I would die in a huge explosion or something like that.
You're going to be here with us for a while, and I want to tell you this. Can you hold your hand up closer to your eyes? Okay, so you are a person who is very individualistic, and you'll move forward in life if you are independent, and at the same time you're able to work with people. Don't do everything yourself. Be independent, but at the same time be interdependent on people. Work with them, and you'll get places.
And Karen, when you thought you were going to die many years ago, what was that gave you that impression?
A palmistry book. I was 14. I picked it up.
Oh, you did your own reading?
I did my own reading.
Ah, that's
George,
what you did wrong.
George, there are volumes of terrible palmistry tomes out there. And it's unfortunate.
And she's still here and still kicking.
No, don't worry. You're going to be with us for a while. I would also say, when you go to sleep at night, sleep with your head to the north. Not any. I'm sorry. Don't sleep with your head to the north. What am I saying? You'll get a better rest.
We're going to Jim in New York. Hello, Jim. Welcome to the show.
Hello. I made a mistake. It's actually the 5th.
The 5th.
Sorry.
Okay. How could you make a mistake about your birthday?
It's late. I'm tired, George.
Got you nervous. All right. It's the 5th.
Okay.
Yes,
Hold your hand up towards your face, sir, and ask me your question.
Okay. Do I have enough protection on me to fulfill my soul's starseed karmic purpose to keep from all harm from being murdered, attacked in any way?
I don't see it, but I don't see it. No, I think it's an unwarranted fear. What I would like to tell you is that you are a communicator. You're either good at writing or communicating, or giving advice, or using your voice in some way, or your writing skills. I want you to use your powers of self-expression, and that will be very powerful for you.
All right. Good luck, Jim. You're going to be here for a long, long time. We'll take more calls with Vernon Mahubble as we talk about palmistry. His website is linked up for you at coasttocoastam.com. A couple of his books include Talk to the Hand. What is the book on the palmistry cards that you wrote back about 21 years ago?
George, they're like flashcards, and each card
like tarot cards.
Not really. They're not divinatory, but each card tells a specific aspect of a line or a configuration, and they're quite fun and easy to use. That's why I made them into cards, because they're entertaining, but they're also full of knowledge.
How different is numerology from palmistry?
Oh, that's a great question. Numerology, and I'm sure the numbers lady is not going to agree with me, but I love what she does. Numerology can tell you your life path and some general information, whereas palmistry can tell you your exact specific path. So numerology is very powerful at this, but at the same time, it could, for instance, tell you that a person is going to be an artist, but the palm or astrology will be able to tell you what kind of an artist. In fact, the palm can even say you should work with oils rather than, let's say, any other type of colors. So it's palmistry is extremely specific.
Next up, the date is 4, just like me. First-time caller David in Ohio. Welcome to the show. Hey, David.
Good morning.
Good to have you with us. What's your question for Vernon? Go ahead.
Vernon, I feel like I'm not living my life's path. My journey has strayed.
You have excellent powers of organization. You have excellent powers of planning and structuring things, and you're not being organized. You're not doing enough to be methodical, and therefore your efficiency quota is not coming up. You have, like I say, you have really good abilities to organize and plan, but you're not doing that. And
how does he change that, Vernon?
Writing things down, coming up with a planner, and write down your to-do lists. Have short-term plans and long-term plans, and get them done. But you have inherently the ability to get things done because you can be very methodical, but you're not doing that, and you're scattering your talents.
Do you find a lot of people are aimless out there?
I don't see aimlessness so much. What I see is more people don't know what they're born to do. People they've never gotten readings from a qualified palmist or astrologer, so they don't know what their true talents and abilities are. And they're waylaid. We are waylaid by, our modern academia, not just colleges and universities, but our entire system of education just takes people away from what they're inherently born to do. And that's the problem. So I don't see people as aimless. I see Americans as quite goal-oriented and ambitious, but we're not doing our life work. We're not doing our destiny.
An animal has a palm print too, doesn't it?
Not much. No, not really. I've looked at a lot of cats and dogs and ferrets, and I don't really see many lines.
What about a gorilla or a chimp?
Not really. They have, sometimes you'll see on a gorilla this one line they call a simian line, but it's not really something that's you can read their life purpose. Animals work on instinct, and we have a mind. We have a mind. We have an intellect. The human form of life is meant for self-realization, and so animals are just absolutely wonderful creatures, but their body is not meant for self-realization. The human form of life is very rare. It's there may be 8 billion people on this planet, but there's probably 8 billion people on our 8 billion entities on our lawn. So to get a human form of life is very rare, and this human form of life is meant specifically for self-realization and for self-understanding.
What is Vedic cosmology?
Vedic cosmology is the Eastern aspect of astrology or palmistry. And the big difference is that Western astrology has a lot to do with our outer self. In other words, I look at the Western aspects of the palmistry to look at a person's career, how other people see them, how they move forward in life. And the Vedic view, the sidereal view, is more of the heart. And the reason is because it's moon-based. It's ruled more by the moon. And the moon has everything to do with emotions and feelings and wants and desires, whereas the Western palmistry and astrology deals with the sun. And the sun has everything to do with the outer self or our career. That's why the Western world, we're career-oriented. Interestingly enough, the Mayan calendar, the Mayan astrology of the Olmecs and the Toltecs and the Incans and the Mayans, they used Venus. And Venus is that planet of relationships and socialization, and it's very much of a planet of beauty and art. That's why their society reflected that. And Chinese astrology was based on Jupiter. So Jupiter is the planet in astrology. If you ever hear an astrologer say, "Oh, well, Jupiter's in this sign," you're going to have good luck. And so Jupiter is the planet of optimism and good luck.
We're going east of the Rockies to Dolores. They call her Mama D in Pennsylvania. Hello, Dolores. Welcome.
Thank you so much. Peace and many blessings to you, George, and to your guest.
Well, thank you very much. Do you have a question for our guest, Vernon?
Yes, I do. I'd like to know what you see that my major focus should be at this time in my life. I do have some concerns on my heart, but I'd like to see what your opinion is, please.
Absolutely. Can you hold your hand up towards your face?
Yes.
Okay. Are you attracted to, I think you're attracted to maybe psychology or counseling. Have you ever done any type of counseling or advising people or at all? You're very
Absolutely.
you have a very humanitarian nature, very empathetic, and I think that you have a heart and a mind for helping people, especially maybe counseling.
Oh, my goodness. You couldn't get any closer than you are. That is what's on my mind and in my heart. And I think I've been doing it since I was a little child, but I just wanted to get verification from you now.
You know what? You're the local therapist. All your friends, everybody comes to you with their feelings and their problems. Do it. That's what you're here to do.
Thank you so much. You have really blessed me, and I pray for blessings for you and George because of the work that you both do. The people across the world are absolutely in need of both your assistance at this time, and I thank you both for this opportunity.
Thank you, Mama D. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
What a delightful person, huh, Vernon?
Absolutely. My God. She's wonderful.
Great advice, too. It corroborates what she was thinking. Lisa's with us in New York. Welcome to the program. Hi, Lisa.
Hi, George and Vernon. Okay, well, I wanted to know if I will be able to develop my intuitive psychic abilities and if my health will be good enough to be able to do that.
Can you...
I'm sorry. I forgot.
Can you hold your hand open with the fingers spaced?
Spaced? Okay.
Yeah, okay, got it. Okay. You first of all, what I want to say to you is that if you want to move forward in life, always take the initiative. Always be self-assertive. Don't sit on the fence for anything. You have natural. You're a very independent person. I'm sure you know that, and you're a very individualistic person. And I do want to answer your question about the psychic intuitive aspect of you. If you just trust yourself, if you just listen to your inner heart to give you the message of what to do, and take the initiative and be assertive and be bold, you will get messages from your subconsciousness, and you will be able to really do a lot of things in this life, and that's where your intuition will come. It won't come just from sitting down and meditating. It will come from taking action and being bold and taking risks, and then your subconsciousness will give you gut feelings that are correct.
All right. Good luck, Lisa. We're going to another 10. Vernon, Michael in New Jersey. Welcome to the show on the Wild Card Line. Hello, Michael.
Hello. I would like to talk about what a great phone the person who answers the phone does. What a great job he does.
Mr. Tom.
Yes.
Thank you. And how about a question for Vernon?
All right. Many have come to me for healings. I'm known for that. I would like to know, my question is, will that increase? Do you see that increasing?
You got to start your own business. Don't work for anybody. If you're a healer, if you're a therapist, any of this, you must just have your own clientele and your own clients, and don't work for any other institute, and then you'll be successful.
Well, you could laugh at this, but I'm one of those that doesn't believe in taking money for it. You can laugh at it.
That's admirable.
It's wonderful. But the thing is, I'm saying to you that I do pick up that you're very good at healing, but at the same time, I really want you to take stock of yourself, and why not get paid for the good work that you do? It's an exchange.
All right, good luck, Michael. Let's take a couple more calls here. The 24th, that's the date. We're going to Lucille on the wild card line in Modesto, California. Hello, Lucille.
Hello there. Happy Independence Day.
You too. Hope everything is well. Go ahead with your question for Vernon.
Okay. I have a matching M in each palm, and I can't figure out why. I did ask one palmist, and he told me to tell him, which was not very helpful.
And what's your question for me?
Okay, I just want to know what that M means.
Well, it's. I don't like to do the mechanics, explain the mechanics of palmistry. It's so intricate and it's so deep. An M in one area of the hand can mean something completely different in another area of the hand. So I will say this: I'm picking up. Can you hold your thumb out a little bit on your right hand, away from the palm? Are you doing that?
Now the thumbs are different.
No. I'm just asking you to hold your on your right hand. Hold your thumb out.
Okay.
Okay. So it's very important for you to extricate yourself from your birth family and their directives. They don't get you. Do your own thing. Don't be held back by your family. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Boy, did you hit some dirt.
They don't get you. They never have. Give them love. Send them cards and letters, but they've held you back throughout your life because you listen too much to what they feel that you should be doing. Do your own thing.
All right,
Separate
great.
yourself from them.
Thanks, Lucille. Do you sometimes, when you're reading palms, see things that scare you?
Yes, but there's always a remedy. Yes, I have to say absolutely. This is the material world, and the material world is full of problems. But at the same time, there's always a solution. Always.
What is one of the worst things you've ever come across with reading a palm?
Honestly, reading for the elite, reading for bankers, reading for those people who don't have any empathy for humanity. That's yeah.
You don't like it, or what?
No, I've had clients. I've had clients who, let's say, they are in big positions politically, financially. But they don't have any care or empathy or sensitivity for humanity, and it's not fun to read for them. So yeah, that bothers me.
How do you get away from that?
You don't you just say, hey, I'm booked. But here's the thing. There's always some good aspect in somebody's hand, even if someone's really, cruel or angry or very difficult. There's always something in the hand that you can say, hey, try doing this. Give a little bit of time and energy. We are ultimately, George, even if someone is very nefarious or very cruel or very angry, we're at the heart of everything. We're still human beings, and that soul that is that it doesn't have empathy is just simply covered by material desires of lust and greed and envy. And if I can see something in the hand to help them to remove that and see the goodness in nature and the goodness in humanity, maybe I can, that would help them.
That'll help indeed. Thank you, Vernon. Always a pleasure. Vernon, always a pleasure. Vernon, always a pleasure. Vernon, always a pleasure. Vernon, always a pleasure. The Coast mobile app is now available for download on iPhones and Android devices. You can become an insider directly through this app. This is a great option for our international listeners, and new users will also receive a free 2-week trial.